just wave to your mom every once
Yeah.
in a while.
Say hi, Emily's mom.
I was about to ask you, is the tech good? Microphone's working?
We haven't tested microphones yet, but at least the projector working with the
I don't have any idea how to turn microphones on.
That's what I keep asking, because it's so funny.
Switch on the
Whoa, wow, what's that?
She was the size of artichoke.
mics have a little switch on them.
Yeah. You should check my text.
Okay, hold on.
We're so popular.
There's a cord that is unplugged.
Connection for this guy? I don't actually know. I don't know.
Take your time.
Test.
The problem with being first person up here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah, we're excited. Huh?
Oh, I'm just glad that like you guys are doing a panel for this instead of me just trying to take up your free time.
Oh no, it's okay.
I'm just gonna be like,
We would be fine with that too. Yeah, we're always having people ask us questions at the booth and things like that.
I don't want to have your time at the booth because then there's people who want to buy your stuff, and I don't want to take up your free time like when like those are closed and you're trying to relax. Questions answered.
No, that's all good. We are happy to answer quick questions, and then there's always like lulls where it's just like, yeah, I'll talk to you.
I watched him do it just now. Mysterious.
But yeah, we're excited. You know, it's the first panel. I didn't think anyone would cover this one, so this is already very exciting. It's like 100% more people than I thought. Yeah.
I was actually gonna send my parents to it if I couldn't come and be like, Jeff, you recorded
fine.
this.
I mean, if we can't get it to work, we can also just talk really loud.
Yeah, I think the projection in this room is not too bad. We can talk loud.
Alright, good. Y'all gotta check on the other rooms?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm taking my mask off though if I have to project.
Yeah, that's fine. We're good distance from people.
I don't know how many times I've seen it at cons I've gone to, the microphones say, nope, not today.
Technology, you know? Should we close the doors?
No.
Okay, that's fine. We're not going to be talking anything interesting to a lot of people. So 10?
It is 10 o'clock right now.
Awesome. And I think we're going to get started. Hello, thanks for coming. We're super excited to have you all. Like I was saying, it's our first panel ever, and we weren't sure anyone would show up. So this is very cool. I'm Crimson Chains.
And I'm Kaizuart.
And we'll be your presenters today about how to be a Colorado con artist. And yes, apologies again if you thought we were like grifters. No, we're like convention artists. We like draw in Artist Alley.
So here's how to swindle people out of money.
Yeah, by drawing cool art pieces that they want to buy. But yeah, we'll move on to the next slide, which is just again going over some of our talking points today. We are going to talk about who we are, why we are talking about this, the convention basics, which is applying and finding, travel and lodging, setup, products, and then also taxes. And taxes will be fun, and I have interesting information on that.
I made her do that, so
Yeah.
she has to talk about that one.
Yeah. We're going to talk about some common mistakes we see from beginner artists going into the convention scene, especially nowadays with how much it's changed, and also, how it's changed over time. We've been doing this, our first con was 2015, and our first time, and then professionally we've been doing this since 2018, so we've got quite a few years of experience, and we've seen how things have kind of changed over time. And at the end, we'll have a Q&A. Yep. Awesome. So, who we are, again, I'm Crimson Chains.
I'm Kaizuart.
Yep. Doing this con scene for a while. There's a fun picture of us at Ohio Con next to the big artist sign. We do a lot of cons. We do about 20 a year all across the United States. We haven't tried international ones yet. I don't know the tax laws for that one yet.
We'll get back to you. Next year, meet us back here. We'll talk about how to go to Canada.
Yeah.
Why do you want to go to Canada?
Oh, there's some good cons in Canada. People have asked us.
I've heard some, and I'm like, good excuse to go see
Yes,
uncle.
Exactly. But yeah, some reasons why we do it together. First of all, it is expensive. Hotels are expensive, I'm sure all of you know. And tables have gotten more expensive, so by sharing, we split the cost. And it's also easier to just go to the bathroom or go get food. it just takes the pressure off, in my opinion. So we like to do it together.
Yep.
And we say 2 heads are better than 1 in the sense of we can split some of the tasks.
Yep.
For it's all a lot to keep track of, and having 2 people to keep track of it, I think makes it easier.
Yep.
All right, on to the next one.
Well, basically, we get most of our income from being convention artists, from traveling around, selling our art at conventions. I would say 80% of our income comes from doing that job. But we've got a couple of other sources of income that I'd like to just briefly touch on to know that if you're going to try to plan on doing this as a job, you want to be sort of diversifying, you want to be finding other sources of income just in case. You never know, there might be some sort of pandemic, and then they stop having big gatherings, and you might need to look at other sources of income. So we both have a Patreon. She makes a decent amount of money on Patreon. I make not so much money on Patreon, but it's still another source of income. We also have a shared Etsy shop that we run out of our basement. And that takes up that other maybe 20% of our income is that Etsy shop. And when we're out of town traveling to conventions, we actually have to hire a friend to help run it for us, and she'll send out all the orders when we're not ever able to do that. We take commissions very rarely. It's a very small percentage of our income, but it is another option. And then Kickstarter was great when we were doing the pandemic because we had a Kickstarter that was already running, and we were able to get some extra income as soon as those cons stopped happening. So that was also very, very useful. We were very lucky that we were starting to do that right before the pandemic happened.
Yes, conventions are just very hit or miss, so it's really good to diversify where you're getting that money.
Yeah.
I think you're talking about this because like.
Oh, I am talking about that. So we are both raised in Colorado. We've lived here our whole lives. But I'm going to touch on some reasons why we think it's a very good place to get started. For a while, for our very first couple of cons, we never flew anywhere. We drove, and Colorado's a great driving distance from most states. We were like, our limit is 8 hours to drive in any direction, because then I could take 4 hours and she could take 4 hours. So it's 8 hours from like Salt Lake City, Utah, and Omaha, Nebraska, and Kansas City, and Albuquerque, New Mexico. So we could go to all of those other states and just take all of our stuff in our car and drive up there. And then on the other hand, if you are flying, if you're ready to fly to conventions, it's not that long. We're in the middle of the country, so it's like at a max 3-hour flight, which is great. I don't want to be on a plane for much longer than that because I get plane sick. But we've also, since we're in the Denver area, we've got some good cons. We've got, obviously, Colorado Anime Fest is great. NDK is awesome. Fan Expo Denver is huge. And then there's a bunch of little smaller cons that you can try to apply to. I mean, we just did DokuCon not that long ago, and that was pretty chill, pretty
chill.
Easy.
It was fun.
So we like Colorado. It's a great place to get started if you're thinking about it.
Yeah, it also helps that honestly some of the cons on the West and East Coast are hyper competitive because it's like the really, really big ones.
Yeah.
So I think that Colorado is a good location to allow small to mid-size, which are good for starting out.
Yeah.
Awesome. So next is finding and applying, which is a lot easier nowadays. There's actually a website which I recommend. It's animecons.com. You can use it to filter also by dates and location. So I will go and I will usually kind of look at it and see what cons are coming from about 9 months ahead, because that's usually when applications open. They open about I would look around 6 to 9 months before the convention happens to see, like, are they posting when the application's going to go live, things like that. And so it's very convenient to do that. You can sort by also out of country. Again, we haven't done out of country, but they list those too. We also don't do many Comic-Cons, but they list Comic-Cons as well, and you can sort. So I recommend looking at that. And once you find the con you're interested, now I'm going to talk about some of the application types you might run into. Now, first come, first serve. Self-explanatory. It's just go and you try to snag a table as soon as you can. This one is becoming much more rare. Like a lot of cons that we knew were first come first serve, like MetroCon and even AX. Anime Expo used to be first come first serve. Are now moving to the jury system. So these are a little more rare. I find them more often with Comic-Cons, which will have a bigger artist alley. So I think that's part of it. Fan Expo Denver is sort of like that. You rebook, also you just kind of throw an application in and they seem to just let you win whatever. I don't know. They're weird. But that one's nice, obviously very easy for beginners since it's just kind of how quick your internet connection is. The next one is jury. And this one can be really tough because, as I'm sure we're all aware, art is a very subjective medium. even if you're the best artist, you might get rejected from a con list jury just because it doesn't vibe with whoever is in charge of the jury system that year. And so it's really easy to get down yourself. You get rejected from jury cons, but don't take it to heart. I've gotten rejected from plenty of cons that I've also made it into the last years. Like, we got rejected from Level Up Expo, and we've gotten it for 2 years in a row, but okay, whatever.
You just never know.
You never know, it's fine. Usually once the juries will ask you to put together a portfolio, we recommend using a free website just like square.com, stuff like that. They don't usually like you using social media sites because, like with Twitter, you might have retweeted something that's not yours, so it's just easier to filter things out if you have your own website. The next one that I'm going to get into is lottery, and lottery is pretty tough too with how competitive things are going. NDK is partially lottery, ASEN full lottery, SAC Anime full lottery, and that one is just exactly as it sounds. They will put your name into a hat basically, or whatever kind of system they have, and they will randomly pick out artists, and that's a little bit easier on the Eagle, I guess, so you don't get in, but still kind of a bummer.
It's more likely you'll get in if you're just starting out. If you don't have any products to sell or a really good portfolio, you can still put your name in the hat and try to go to one of those lottery cons.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one to try out. I always say, especially for applying to cons, if you're thinking about just put your application, the worst thing they can say is no, and then it's exactly where you are anyway. So, and the last category is hybrid, and this is actually what NDK is. NDK is a hybrid con in that it is jury and lottery. They have a jury system where they kind of, instead of just seeing like who is necessarily the best, they just have like a set standard they want to meet. And everyone who meets kind of that standard will be put into the lottery and then have their names drawn. If you watched, just like a week ago, they did their live lottery drawing, and that was stressful.
Yeah. Live on Instagram.
On Instagram.
We were at another convention, sitting there like, we need to get into NDK.
Just vibrated like, ugh. But there's a couple other cons like this too, and mostly just I recommend if you're starting out, putting together a portfolio on a free-to-make site, good first step, and then just I think that if you want to try, just apply to anything, see what sticks.
Yep.
All right, we're gonna move on to
travel and lodging. So once you get accepted to a convention, you start getting into really the nitty-gritty of doing this as a lifestyle. Obviously, you're gonna have to start worrying about some of these expenses, flying and driving, and your hotel, Airbnb. So there's some pros and cons. Flying versus driving. Flying is obviously gonna be faster, but you're gonna be starting to get limited by that carrying capacity. Like with our gigantic booth, if you've seen it in the Artist Alley, we have a ton of posters, we have a ton of merchandise, and that means we have to carry all of that stuff that we're gonna sell to other conventions. And Southwest is great, it offers 2 free check bags, but boy, there's a 50-pound carrying limit, and that is really creeping up on us now that we've gotten even bigger artists. So it's just something to consider when you're starting to do this as a job. Also, you can, pay for a checked bag, like an extra one. We do, but they have increased their bag prices now, and that's just something that you're gonna have to start dealing with, is more expensive luggage carrying. Obviously, driving is great. You don't have to pay for plane tickets. You can bring as much merchandise as you want, but sometimes the conventions that you want to drive to are 26 hours away, and you just have to deal with that. So we've driven to some cons on the West Coast. We've driven to Fanime in San Jose, and that was a 2-day overnight trip. We just got out of a hotel halfway through. It was rough, but we did it. And then once you figure out how you get out there, you can try a hotel or Airbnbs. We tend to sort of get a hotel as often as possible, especially if it's just the 2 of us, because it's usually very convenient. They are the convention centers like COAF, or they're very close to the convention centers. Or you get an Airbnb, which we oftentimes do if we're driving somewhere, because we can get an Airbnb further out and drive into the convention center. And if we're with friends, we will split the cost, and you can cram 7 people in a 3-bedroom Airbnb, and you can get those costs down really low. So it kind of depends on whether or not you're looking for convenience or cost effectiveness. We tend to prefer convenience if we can. That's why we get hotels often. Anything else?
Yeah, I forgot to put this slide, but if you have like family or something in the area,
Yes.
obviously that's the #1 choice. If you can stay with friends or family, it's free, like hell yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Setup is fun. If you go around the Artist Alley, you'll see a lot of different kind of setups, and we're gonna talk about just some really common ones for starting out. The first one are those grid cubes. You see them, they just lock together. You've got either mesh or solid. They are easy to find, easy to pack. I think I got a set from like Bed Bath & Beyond one time. They like sell them for college dorms or something. But they are good starting ones, I think. They are light and they're easy to kind of put together into any formation you want. Another one is a photo stand, very common as well. You can find them very cheaply on like Amazon or other places. They're a little hard to find like in the wild, stores don't really carry them. But they're very good for displaying lots of prints, so you can put them behind the booth.
That's what we use.
That's
We
what
use
is a photo stand. Yep. And next is PVC, and our first setup was PVC. That one is also very easy, very cheap. You go to Lowe's or Home Depot, you buy these long tubes,
They're like $12 for like
a 10-footer,
tube.
yeah.
Yep.
You can cut them to any size or shape you want. You can ask the person in the department to cut them for you, but honestly, they sell PVC cutters for like $12, which are very convenient. We would bring those with us to cons sometimes, because sometimes we'd have to cut our booth to a slightly different shape because the height limit was a little more restrictive. And that's just very convenient. And also pretty light. Well, you can find them anywhere too. One time we were at a con, we had to go buy some, so we had to take an Uber to go Home Depot and buy some more.
Yeah.
They said it was an 8-foot table. And here are some examples we have visually. We've never actually done a very big grid cube setup, so we've taken one from, it looks like asteroids on DeviantArt. But the other two are ours. Anime Expo 2022 has a height limit, so that's why we use the PVC there. And then this
Yeah,
one
they didn't allow photo stands.
Oh yeah,
either.
they didn't have photo stand. Fine.
So we had to go buy PVC to set it up on the table.
Yep, and then this is our setup from NDK, which is our big photo stand setup. You can see some of the pros and cons of each here in terms of like how much space you get, whether you're print-based, focused, or if you're sticker or craft or things like that. If you're craft-based, honestly, the cubes are really good because I read mentions. You can see here with the cubes that they also come with basically built-in storage space. Once you build them up, the front spacing can hold your stuff, and then the back is like a grid cube, so you can put cool stuff in behind there. It's good storage. All right. And this is going to be play a little video. We're going to show of how we set our booth up. It's sort of to give you an idea of kind of the point we've gotten to with how intensive it's gotten. It's definitely a two-man setup. We couldn't do it with only one of us. And this was this Katsucon?
This was Anime Milwaukee.
Katsucon.
Katsucon, you're right. Yes, Katsucon, you're correct.
But we've added on these sort of wing setups with the Frankenstein, another photo stand that we put together with zip ties and dreams.
Yeah.
And it allows us to put more posters on. Some cons don't let you have them. That's one of the things also when you look at applying, make sure you read the rules. Some cons don't allow stickers, some cons have height limits. Everyone will state up front though what they require, so I always recommend reading through the rules. There's also been people, NDK mentioned, they had a bunch of people disqualified from their applications because they just had things that went against their rules in the beginning. NDK is very strict about logos especially, which makes sense. You can't have anything with a logo on it in your portfolio.
Let's go.
Look at us go, busy bees.
I don't know if you saw me running back and forth, but that's how we have to do it. If we have only two people, we have to go back and forth to each thing and raise it up a little bit, and then go to the other one and raise it up a little bit more, and then go to the other one and raise it up a little bit more.
Yes, you also can see our big golf bag there. That's how we have to carry our photo stand. The smaller photo stands are a little bit more condensable, and you can bring them onto as a carry-on onto a plane. But when you get to some of these bigger photo stands, you have to use them as a check bag. It takes up a check bag, and that's kind of annoying. So there's a lot of pros and cons between these kind of setups. When you're starting out, I just recommend going with whatever's lightest, cheapest, and
Yeah.
easiest.
Yeah.
These photo stands are also not, like, I think the cheapest ones on Amazon are like 30 or 40, but
We'll have a Q&A at the end if you're going to stay to the end. You can hold on to your question. We'll answer a bunch of stuff, I promise.
yes. Thank you. And now we'll move on to the next.
Next
Oh my
slide.
god.
Next
We
slide.
had this issue last time.
Crimson, next slide.
I'm so sorry. There we go. Go
Hope we've gone
backwards.
too far.
Go. Think.
Yes.
Go.
Okay, so once you get there, some materials you're gonna need. I always say that no matter how prepared you think you are, you're gonna still need something. So be as prepared as possible and hope that you don't forget the really important things. We always have business cards, and in the case that we have forgotten to reorder our business cards, we have a QR code that you can read at our table, or like a little display with our usernames on it so people can look us up. But on our business cards, it's got both of our usernames, links to our shop, and links to our social media. So it's very important if you want to get more eyes on your stuff after, or if you run out of stock and you have like a sold out sticker, people will be like, well, is this on your shop? And you go, yep, it's on our card. Very important, Card readers, you can get them super easy. If you go to Square or whatever, they'll provide you with a free card reader for signing up. It'll just hook into your phone, you can swipe the card. It's easy. They take a bit of a fee out, but that's fine if it means you can take card payments. It's totally worth it. I mean, 2/3 of our payments are probably all in card.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a card nowadays, and it's so easy to get a card reader. Just do it. It's quick and easy. We carry cash boxes, both of us. We have one for each of us, so we can keep our money separate. But we keep them between ourselves. But I know that some people don't like cash boxes as much because they are like people come up behind you and take them. So some of our friends use fanny packs. Then you've got your change like right on you. It's not going to go anywhere, and it's very convenient to like give people change right from your fanny pack. We use a lot of plastic sleeves because we do a lot of print sales. But in the same way, you probably want like packaging for whatever you're trying to sell. If it's stickers, maybe little bags, or if it's charms, little protective things to keep them safe. We want to use our plastic sleeves to keep people from going out in the rain and getting their posters rained on or something. It doesn't really keep them from getting crumpled, but that's a problem for the people who buy the posters, I'm sorry. And then you want, miscellaneous tools. We always have Sharpies and sticky notes for writing signs for prices or sold out signs, or if there's something you need to annotate, like we have books, and so I write a little blurb about what the books are and stick it on there. It's important, versatile, you'll use it a bunch. We have gold Sharpies for signing posters or merchandise because people often ask us to do that. Scissors are great. You don't think you're gonna need them, but then you're definitely gonna realize you need them to cut the zip ties that you put up, and then you can take your stand down. And then tape. Again, you don't really know if you're gonna need it, but you're definitely gonna need it. We've had posters fall down and we just need to tape them back up. It's just all sorts of things, and it's gonna be a trial and error. You're gonna go there and you're gonna realize what you need, and then you're gonna bring it next time. Anything else?
No, just the lucky thing again, if you start local, if you have a car, at least when you forget the stuff, you can go out and buy it.
Yeah.
But I think that covers at least some of the basic materials. Okay, we're gonna get into this one. This is a big size. Common products. There's obviously tons of different products in RS Alley. Walk around, you'll see a bunch. But here's some that are very easy to find, and we're gonna talk also about how beginner friendly they are.
Yeah.
So the first one's obviously posters and prints. They are cheap and easy. Paper is very cheap, and we know a lot of artists who honestly have a good enough printer that they print their stuff at home. We don't. Our printer sucks and cannot be trusted.
Yep.
We go through a local printer I actually highly recommend. It's called Morel Printing Solutions. It's located in Lafayette. They do great work. They do all of our posters, including our foil posters. And they do other paper products as well.
I saw someone taking a picture. If you want to take a picture, we highly recommend them. They're on our slide.
Yeah, they're very nice. They're very quick. The regular prints take like 3 days. The foils take like 5.
Yep.
And they're local. They ship too.
Yep.
The profit margin from posters is also very good. It costs like maybe $1.50 to print a piece, and then you sell the poster 11 by 17 for like $20. So it's very
15 to 20.
It's very easy since also there's no little order quantity to kind of start low and make your money back and build up your products.
Yeah.
The next one is acrylic charms or standees. We have a lot of those. Those are pretty easy as well. The main problem with them is that they do have an order quantity, like a minimum order quantity you have to put in. Usually that's not per design, it's total. So if you had like 10 designs and their minimum order quantity was 50, you could get just 5 of each design. But it is something you have to think about. And also most of them are overseas. There are some ones that are not domestic. I haven't liked their quality as much.
And they're more expensive.
They're more expensive. But it's still, I would consider it's a relatively friendly beginner thing, because if you go in with friends or something like that, it's still only for most charms probably like $1.50, $2 depending on it.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty easy if you to not lose a ton of money on them. We use Vogue Race. You can contact them through like Alibaba, or they have an email. They're very common. I think they're the #1 charm producer in China. There are plenty of other ones. That's just the one we go through.
Yep.
Stickers are also super easy. These are ones that can also be done at home. If you have, again, a good printer, you can buy sticker paper online. We have friends who cut them out by hand. We also have friends who have like a silhouette or a circuit, which is good for cutting out. That's a little more investment because the machines are kind of pricey and kind of hard to figure out. But it's also not unbeginner friendly. We do stickers through a place called Sticker App, which we like for the purposes of getting them done because they have cool effects and things like that, but it's much more expensive. At that point, it's a little bit less beginner friendly in my opinion. Still not too bad, but it's a lot of money considering the the profit margin for stickers is also way less than some of these, considering that you probably don't want to buy a sticker that's more than like even $5 at the most fanciest sticker. Enamel pins crept into our Sally a lot now. They are super cool. They are so expensive. They are not beginner friendly. I would not recommend them because their minimum order quantity is about 100 per design.
Yeah.
You can get them as low as 50 per design, but then the cost per unit is way more, so the 100 is a pretty easy one. This one is one that we got into because we did a Kickstarter for it, so that way we couldn't lose as much money when you start making them. They're very cool, but they are expensive. You do them overseas. No one does them domestically because the machines used to make enamel pins are the same machines used to counterfeit coins. So
They're illegal.
They're illegal in the United States. So everyone who does enamel pins overseas, if you talk to someone domestically says they do enamel pins, they are a third party. They are a middleman. You can use them if you're interested in trying dipping your feet into it, but they will be more expensive than going directly to the manufacturer. The last one is apparel, and we haven't even dipped our toes in that one because that one is crazy. People who do apparel are so cool, and I'm afraid of them. But similarly, very expensive, minimum order quantities, and once you get into apparel, you have to start thinking about sizing as well. If you have a cool t-shirt design, you can't just get it in one size. You have to get in multiple sizes. You have to have the storage space to put all these things. And then if you're going to cons, you're probably driving. You probably do not have nearly enough room in your suitcases to fly with apparel.
Yeah.
But it's cool.
It
We
is
like
cool. It's an option. We haven't gotten there yet.
So, all right. Oh God, am I talking this one too?
Yes,
I'm
you
sorry.
can do
I think we
taxes.
got off our algorithm. Anyways, ooh, taxes. This one's fun. We are not tax experts, but we have gone through the ringer of doing this, and it is tough.
Yeah.
So every state is different in what they require for taxes, and it's sometimes very hard to figure out where that information is. But a couple of the ones that we've noticed that are common to find is, and we like this one the best, temporary sales permits. These are ones that you will go to their websites, the tax websites, and they'll be like, hey, are you doing like like an art show or a fair? Here, have the temporary tax permit. It's like, ooh, great, it lasts for 30 days or something like that. And then you just report how much you made to them, and you pay your taxes, and it's good. You don't have to worry about it again.
Most of the time, when you get into a convention, they will tell you what you need.
Yes.
They will say, we need a temporary permit from you. They don't always tell you how to get it,
Yeah.
but they will tell you what you need in order to vend at their convention.
Yeah, or sometimes soccer forgets to mention it's a temporary one, so you pay $200 for a permanent one. Anyways. But, yes, some of the states that do the temporary permits are California. Their system's very good. Washington, Utah. Utah's good. They provide you with a tax form on site,
Yeah.
which I like.
It's very straightforward.
Another one, much more annoying, is the perpetual permit. This is one where they will be like, yes, we do not do event licenses. You just have to get tax permits. And then once you do that, you are stuck paying that tax permit, usually quarterly, until you die. Or until you call them and tell them you're not doing this anymore. This is like Texas and Florida and Wisconsin. You will get that. And luckily Texas sends you an email reminder like, hey, remember to file your taxes. Like, oh my God, thank you. Because if you do not file your taxes quarterly with this kind of license, they will fine you. I have missed deadlines for making $0 in Texas for that quarter and had to pay them $50 for missing that, reporting $0 made. So it's annoying. I don't like it. If you're planning to do a lot of cons in Texas or Florida, it's probably worth it. We do quite a few in Texas just because Texas has a million cons.
Yeah.
But it is a very annoying process to go through if you're only planning to dip your feet into this.
Yeah.
Would not recommend these states if you don't want to have to think about taxes or have to call them up to cancel your permit.
Yep.
Colorado's very nice. We have a sales tax license that lasts 2 years. It costs $16, and it's available online, but you have to mail it in. This is one annoying thing about Colorado. For some reason, they are not set up for online stuff. You have to mail them a $16 check, which I hate.
But it's easy. Once you do it, you're good for 2 years. You can take that. We brought ours here.
Yep.
We brought ours to NDK.
Yep.
We brought ours to DocuCon. We'll bring ours to Fan Expo Denver.
Yep.
You can just use it for those 2 years, and they'll tell you when you need to renew it.
Yeah, they'll send you a letter like, hey, do you want to pay us $16 again to renew? I'm like, yes, I do.
Here's a check. I send it in the mail, and I hope it gets there.
Yeah. But yes, every state's different. I would recommend when you go to another state, if they haven't mentioned it in their email, try to Google around because some people might have asked on Reddit or something and have an answer for you. Okay. Some common mistakes.
Oh boy, yeah. When we first started out, we had a rough time of it, but everyone's gonna have a rough time of it. One of the mistakes is obviously, how do you know how much stuff to bring to a convention, especially if you've never done one before? and I went through this too. Our very first convention was 2015, and I drew a poster for Kamigami no Aosobi, which is a very niche interest. Nobody really knows what it is, but I thought, okay, we're going to NDK, there's a lot of people there. We'll probably, what's a good amount of posters to bring? 40? I think 40. And so I paid for 40 posters, and I sold maybe 4. So who knows? So you really have to gauge what you're willing to lose.
Yes.
When you're buying product. I thought, 40 posters was maybe $50 when I ordered them back then. So I was like, if I am out that $50, I will not be too sad, but I will be thrilled if I could sell all of these for $15 a poster. So it was sort of a game of what do I bring, and unfortunately, I never ended up selling all of those posters. I went to like 5 or 6 cons with them afterwards, and I just never sold out of all 40 of those posters. So I made my money back, but I learned my lesson a little bit about how much to bring. With posters, you have a little bit less of a cost to print them, but if you're talking about like acrylic standees, which are $7 each for 100 of them, that's like, oh boy, I hope I can sell these. And luckily I can go in with her, I can get 10 of those designs printed and then see if they sell. So going in with a group is sometimes good, or going in with a partner, great, awesome. It's gonna be trial and error. I'm sorry, there's really no good way. I think we sort of recommend, if you don't know, bring 10. 10 is good. If you sell out of them, you'll definitely make your cost back. If you don't sell out of them, whatever it is can't have been that expensive to print 10 of. It's a pretty good idea. Another common mistake is only drawing what's popular. If you're drawing a popular thing, let me restart. If you're going into this, you might think I have to draw what's popular. Like, I must draw whatever's the big thing. And the thing is, sometimes it works, and sometimes you're competing with everybody else in the artist alley. Like, for example, Genshin Impact 2 years ago was everywhere. Like, at all the big cons, you could go to a convention without 50% of the booths being mostly Genshin Impact. And you might have been like, yes, I'll draw this character that's very popular, but then you're competing with every other huge artist. On the other hand, right now, I've been drawing a lot of Has Been Hotel stuff, hugely popular. People have it, but it's been very, very good for me. So I'm in a good space right now with that. Basically, our advice with something like this is draw what inspires you. If it's a popular thing, great, it'll come through. People will be able to tell that you're inspired by this, but also you'll just have felt good drawing your favorite characters. There's a good balance, and I think the balance is you should draw what you like, what your favorite things are, and people will come to you, or if they don't, then you'll just draw the next thing that inspires you, and then someone will come to you, and you'll find your people that way in the niche interests or in the popular ones.
Yep, it's all just very hard.
Yeah, trial and error if you're getting into it. So that's why start small.
Start small.
Do what makes you happy, because otherwise you're just going to be sad that this poster that you drew for a really good series doesn't sell, and it happens all the time.
It happens all the time. Things that consistently sell will stop selling, and you just have to kind of be flexible.
Yep, flexibility.
Yep. All right. Awesome. So we're gonna talk a little bit about how conventions have changed since we started. So at the top is a picture of NDK back when it was here, actually, in the Denver Tech Center. I don't know how many of you remember the Atrium Artist Alley, so nostalgic.
Yeah.
I never got to be in it, but it's fine.
We didn't even know that you could apply to be one back then, but we went to it a lot. We had I had some of those balcony rooms that I would just sit out and watch the Artist Alley.
It's so fun. But yes, and then below is a picture of the map of the current NDK's Artist Alley. I think the Artist Alley in the Atrium days had maybe 30 artists, something like that. Now NDK is looking more at 200 artists. So conventions have really grown. Colorado Fest itself has only been around for 6 years now, and it's ballooned up quite a bit as well.
Yeah.
And this has been both good and bad. It's been great in terms of a lot of opportunities for us as Colorado convention artists to make some good money, but it's also been bad in that lots of other people have been like, oh, you guys probably this is cool, this would be great. And you're right, but also I'm looking at you. So it's no longer really an amateur scene. Back in the day, it was easier to get a booth because there was less competition. A lot of cons were still first come, first served. They just wanted to have a good community and show people all the artists in it. And now it's become a little bit more of a, yeah, you can make a living off of this, and it's very cool, but also very hard. A lot of people in like the industries, people who work for Blizzard or like things like that have really gotten into the convention scene because the professional scene is actually so unstable nowadays. You can just get fired whenever, that this actually is a little bit more preferable. So you see a lot of like really, really good artists around now.
Yeah.
And displays have changed. Back in the day as well, the PVC was probably pretty fancy.
Grid cubes, you see a lot.
Grid cubes. Or just some people just have things on the table and not have anything that was, but nowadays it's like, yeah, you'll walk around again the art style, you see a lot of people have really tall displays, really big, really full displays, so it's harder now when you're starting out to make yourself stand out a bit. And I think that goes back to common mistakes where I think people feel like they have to make their booth really full, they have to make it just as big, and then in the result they put too much money into a system that they're not familiar with yet. So I would say, don't worry about it, start small, just try to find your niche there. But that's one of the things that's definitely changed about this scene. It's gotten way bigger in terms of popularity and competition. Like, since the pandemic as well, we've noticed a change. I think that during the pandemic, people got really good at art. People got really into art because it was like, yeah, what are we gonna do? Draw? Hell yeah, we get really good. Just a lot of people entering the scene since then. There was 1,800 applications for KatsuCon this year. KatsuCon has 200 tables, and it's a juried show. So it is very hard to get into that show. NDK this year had like, what was it, 500 something?
Yeah, for their 200.
Yeah,
they might have been like 800. It was a lot.
They said it was a lot. It was like record breaking.
Yeah, record breaking.
Yep. Every year we hear that too. It's like this record breaking applications. Fanime had to cap their applications this year at 1,000, and they reached 1,000 in 45 minutes.
20 minutes, yeah, half an hour. Yeah.
So it's just gotten very competitive.
Yep.
I would not feel bad if you don't get into a con now, especially again, we've been doing this for so long. There are plenty of cons we do not get into. And there's also been an increase in prices and tables. Back when we started out, the average was probably more like 150 on the higher side. And now you definitely see more around the $200 to $400 range. And some of those tables don't even include badges. You have to buy your own Fanime badge for $75 a pop.
Yeah. And you have to buy the Fanime badge before you even know if you're getting in.
I know.
Because there's a hotel block, and if you don't get a hotel, then you don't get to have a place to stay when you go to the convention. So you have to pre-order the badges. Non-refundable. Anyway, that's a really rough one.
Yeah, so it's gotten way more expensive. Hotels have also gotten way more expensive. It's so hard nowadays to find a hotel that's less than $200 a night. And when you're staying at, for a convention, that easily racks up with tax and the fees of $800, $1,000. That's why it's good to share if you can find someone to share it with.
Yes, absolutely.
But it's just very expensive getting into it nowadays.
Yep.
So I would be cautious about
Start
again.
small, start local.
Start small, start local.
We keep saying that, but that's the way to go.
Awesome. We really need to do
Oh
that.
yeah,
It's
through
it's
big.
probably
I hope you
random.
guys have some really good questions to ask because we have 20 minutes left.
Yeah, alright. Yes.
For when you send in applications, what would you recommend for when you're making your application? What would make you, do you think, would stand out against all of the competition that is applying as well?
I would say the basics for a portfolio is to make sure you have a good amount of images, about 10 to 20, 20
Are you
being
connected
good.
to the internet? You could maybe pull up our portfolio.
Oh, I guess so. Don't look at my Discord messages.
We're going to look at your Discord
No! This is what our website looks like and our portfolio. It's got a picture of our booth. If you have a booth, I recommend taking a picture of it. If you've never done a con before, we recommend doing like a practice setup anyways of your booth so you're not frazzled the day of. And then you can show them, yes, this is what my setup looks like. We have pictures of our products, like our standees, and then our, I'm gonna connect the computer. Oh, it's the convention.
Oh yeah, we're in the hotel that we're
right now,
staying.
okay.
Yeah.
But yes, it's mostly just images. I recommend just whatever you think your best work is. I draw almost a new thing every day, but I don't put it in my portfolio. I just show off my best things. Like, yes, this one has a background of multiple people, and this is your stained glass piece, which is very unique.
Yeah.
So I would just recommend putting what you think makes your own art look the best, stand out, and it's hard to say because again, it's so subjective. Everyone's gonna be looking for different things in the application process. I would just recommend making a portfolio that you think you're happy with, that you think shows off your best qualities.
Yeah. Sometimes, like with Fanime, which is, I don't know if I explained this, it's a con in San Jose. It's the best con ever, but it's very competitive. They will ask you for like 4 examples of your work. They're like, if you're gonna be selling prints, give us your 4 prints that are gonna display your best stuff and show us what you're capable of. and boy, is it hard to decide what 4 things to send. It's like, I don't know, do I want to show off? I mean, I feel like I have a bunch of different styles, and I'm worried that if I show a bunch of different styles, I'll be inconsistent. But I also want to show off the best of what each style that I can do. It's really rough. And it's like, well, do I want to show the stuff that's the popular stuff? Will they want popular stuff? Or am I competing with everybody else who's also showing off the most popular stuff? And honestly, I don't really know. It's just so subjective
It's so
with what they're
subjective.
looking for.
But yeah, again, just whatever I think makes you feel the proudest
Yeah.
of your work.
Yeah.
Awesome. Any other questions?
Yes.
Yes, we'll go with you first. We'll go with you
Yes.
first.
How do you deal with copyright issues with the
Oh, this one was fun. I dread time. Yes, the answer is don't worry about it. So the thing is, and this is not legal advice. This is just how
Not
I
legal
not
advice. If
legal
you need
advice.
that suit, I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm sorry. Don't. Anyways.
I was curious if
But
it was fair
no.
use or not.
Yes.
So, no. The answer is fan art is a legal gray area. But the fact that we're allowed to get away with this is only because Disney and other corporations don't have the money to send lawyers to every convention. There are some conventions that are way more strict about it. Like AX is the biggest convention, so they have lawyers. They have IP lawyers that like go through. So, especially in the exhibitor hall, you have to be really careful if you're an artist there. But you can get things asked to be taken down. We had, what was it? Someone said they had a friend AX, yeah, who's had a Funimation lawyer come through and said, take down all the characters from Funimation. So they take all the Funimation characters. So it is an issue you can run into, especially online. Etsy is very notorious for having copyright strikes on pieces.
Yes.
And
yeah.
the way you kind of deal with that, and by that I mean the way I deal with that, and so I can't say anything legally, is that I go, okay, and I move on. And it's sort of the issue is that again, as far as most corporations are going to care, it's not really worth it to go after every single artist. They're not going to get enough money from everyone. So I mostly will usually send you a cease and desist or a copyright takedown.
Yes. You're not gonna go to jail
Yeah.
right away.
No, they're just going to tell you to stop selling this thing. You're like, okay.
I do have to say, in our many years of doing this, we've never had anyone even ask for us to take down stuff.
No, not it's an art.
Not at a convention.
No, on Etsy for sure.
Now Etsy will tell you sometimes.
Etsy will remove it themselves.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you might get a
And also, sometimes conventions will have rules. They'll say you can't display any Rooster Teeth stuff.
Yeah.
And that's just a rule of the convention, and we don't have any Rooster Teeth stuff anyway. But we'll try to we'll try to abide by those rules. We always read the rules of each convention. Sometimes they have it, sometimes they don't.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mostly though, you're kind of not in the clear, but you're more likely to not have any worries if you make sure not to include any copyrighted logos or the character's name.
Yes. NDKs, they are
Very
very
strict
careful
on
about that.
that.
They will tell you to take stuff down. We've never had to do that because we don't. Ever since the beginning of NDK, we've always known that rule. No logos, no character names, no copyrighted specific copies of the images.
Yeah, like the Full Alchemist, like Alchemy Circle is
Yeah.
copyright or something
They'll
like
tell
that.
you.
Yeah.
No, the NDK will tell you.
Yep.
And then if not, they'll tell you to take it down, and you'll just take down the thing. But in the future, we don't know.
Yeah, it's true.
If at some point they might just go, yep, we can't have fan art at conventions anymore, and we'll just have to deal with that.
Yep, it is true. It makes this lifestyle a little bit tenuous just for that reason alone.
Yep.
It could stop at any point, and you just kind of have to brace yourself.
Yep.
Awesome.
Other question?
Yes, sir.
When I did some trade shows in the past, you had to go like the day before and set your booth up, and then you had to tear it down like the day after. So for something like an artist alley,
Yes.
how long did it take you to set your booth up? And do you do it like the day before, or
It's
because that like adds days? Of
Oh, yeah,
yes,
we
absolutely.
that days.
When we're in Colorado, where we can drive to, and we're very close to our home. If we're within like an hour of our house or like 2 hours of our house, we will come down the day of. So for Colorado Anime Fest, we came down Friday morning, set up all of our stuff. It takes us about an hour because we've done this so many times. Other people will take a couple hours, but us about an hour. We'll come down Friday, we'll stay in the hotel Friday night, Saturday night, and then we'll pack up Sunday. Most conventions want you to do something similar. They might have a day before, which is what we do when we fly. We fly out Thursday, and from the airport we go straight to the convention center and set up all of our stuff. Whether that's the hotel or whether that's a convention center. So we fly out Thursday, we'll stay an extra night in the hotel, And then we also, at the end of the weekend, you pack up on Sunday, and then we'll stay an extra night and fly out Monday. And that is, again, going back to, we prefer convenience a little bit over the money factor. I hate having to pack up a convention on Sunday night and then trying to catch a plane. Oh my gosh, it's so stressful.
I know.
We did that for Katsucon because we weren't able to get a Sunday night hotel room, so we were forced to pack up all of our stuff and leave. And we give ourselves 4 hours or 5 hours to get to the airport, but it still stresses me out so much. I'd so much rather stay an extra night and do that. But that does turn into
An extra hotel night.
it's a 5-day. You leave on Thursday, stay Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and leave on Monday. It's 5 days out of our schedule. So it's rough to do that a couple of cons right in a row, and we definitely could not have any other jobs other than this. So since we're focused very on this, we're able to make that accommodation a little bit better.
Yeah. You know, we do have some friends who will fly out on Sunday or will arrive on the day of, and they are
It's too
powerful,
stressful.
but
It's
it
too
stresses
stressful.
me out, but it's cheaper. Yeah. Awesome.
I'm just curious, how much as a beginning person, how much is like an investment into getting stocks? You know, your art and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that.
A lot of it, again, depends on what kind of products you're looking at. If you're paper products, it's pretty cheap. Again, we usually do $1.50 per.
I'm trying to
something.
think about how much money I spent at our first NDK. When we first did it, I had like 4 or 5 prints.
Yeah.
I think I spent maybe $150 on stock, and then we split the table.
Yep.
And that was like maybe $50 a person or a little bit less.
Yeah, and then we had hotel.
And then we had the hotel. I think I ended up making a little bit of money. I think profit-wise at that first NDK, I maybe made like $100 or $200.
Because I'm at a different scene
Ooh.
of things.
Now,
Yeah.
see, that's hard, and I don't know how to
I've
quantify that.
sold once and it was horrifying.
Yes,
Yeah.
it sounds very stressful.
Try
That's
to
a
make
very
these things
high
hard.
risk, high reward, because you put a lot of time and money and effort into that. And if you can sell it, great. But if you don't sell it, then I don't really know.
I'm trying to venture in from this side of
Yeah.
things because these things takes hundreds of hours
Yes.
to make.
Yeah.
And into the art side of things, just because I'm starting to get carpal tunnel.
Yeah.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I would suggest prints. Prints are great. Don't buy too many of them in case they don't sell. 40 is a lot of prints.
40 is a lot.
I know from experience.
Yeah, even nowadays that are good, as people have done this a lot, I will bring a maximum of like 20-25 for the print design if it's like my best seller, and that'll last
Yeah.
3 days.
Yeah. Do we have other questions? Yes,
Yeah.
in the back.
For the taxes, are you adding your sales tax to the price of the item, or do you
Ooh.
sell that when you're done?
Yes.
That's something we also forgot to
We
talk
don't
about.
read that. Yeah, it's so true. Yes, so there are a lot of people who do that, and it's recommended. Obviously, we're trying to get the greatest profit out of doing this. I am bad at math and I'm lazy, so I just eat the tax costs. I just pay it all out of my own pocket because it's just how lazy I am. But I definitely recommend if you're trying to make the most out of what you're selling, you should be able to find the tax rate online for whatever place you're in, and then you can add it on to whatever you're selling. Similarly, actually, when you use card readers, it takes like a 3%, or what is it?
It's about 3%. With the square, it's 3%.
The Square is 3% thing. A lot of people will charge extra for people who use cards.
Yeah.
You can do that to the Square app pretty easily. It's just like an option, like add on whatever percentage. It's like yes. So that's a way to make back the money from card sales too. Is to just tell them like, oh, if you're gonna use card, it'll be this amount.
Yeah,
There you
it'll
go.
be an extra 5% or whatever for the card fees. We don't do that either. We eat the card fee tax because we like having our numbers be nice and round. And
I know
square.
we can't even add 5 and 5 together, so
Yes.
don't ask me the 3%.
Yeah,
of this.
we're in a very privileged position to be able to say that we sell enough product and we make enough money at each convention to just eat those card fees.
Yes, but it's
Yes.
I have another one though.
Yes.
Pricing for versus your cost of an item, say it's a keychain,
Yes.
versus what the sticker you put on it.
Yes.
Do you like double, or how does that work?
We tend to, our rule generally is a go-to, whatever the price of the item is, at least 3 times that price.
Yes, because if you only do double, then you still struggle a little bit with replenishing the supply and then still having some money left over.
Yeah.
3
Yeah.
times gives you a good amount of being able to buy more charms still, put money back into
Yeah.
the business, and takes home some money.
Yeah, we have pins that are like $10. Our most expensive pins are $10 to produce, and we sell them for $30. Our standees are like $8, $7 or $8, and we sell them for like 2 for $25.
Yeah.
So within there, and obviously posters are
Oh,
market
posters
is
just, yeah.
wide, but we try to sell them at basically what we see other people selling posters at. We didn't want to go too much more expensive or too much less expensive. We sell them at a very standard price, I think, and we do deals for them if people buy multiple. We do it 20 for 1 or 2 for 30, which I think is still a pretty reasonable price if you're selling one poster that you paid $1.50 for $15. That's a pretty good margin there.
Yeah.
Stickers are hard. Stickers are expensive to produce and they're cheap to sell, and I don't really know. I would say at least 3 times what you paid for it. Unless it's a really expensive sticker, then I don't know.
I mean, I guess it's not for free, so.
That's true. We do that too. We give out some stickers for free as
Yeah,
well.
they're good for you guys. Yep.
Another question is, how do you deal with the theft? You know,
Ah,
people
okay,
like to
so-
snag things off of your stand.
The thing is that we have never ever had someone steal something from us.
Yep. Yeah.
We do not lock up our we don't even have a cloth because I'm just lazy. But honestly, it's definitely happened. There have been plenty of people who have gotten things stolen from the artist alley, and it's a super huge bummer. We are kind of the mindset for us that since all of our products that we leave out on the table are kind of like low effort products for us, if someone steals it, it's kind of a bummer. But for us, we're lazy, so it's but with the effort. But we do know that if you're worried about it, we know an artist who has suitcase locks. And you put all your product underneath your booth in a suitcase lock, and it's locked up. They even chain it to the table so that people can't just yank it out. But
Luckily,
Yeah.
most conventions, if not all conventions that we've gone to, 90% of the conventions that we go to are kind of like this, where at the very least, Artist Alley is in a separate room and they will lock it at night.
yes,
They will keep everything locked up. So basically, we just go, no other artist is going to steal our stuff. We're probably fine. But as you can see with this convention, I don't know if you've seen out where the autographs are, there are some more artists out there now. And that's, we've done some cons like that where we call them a hallway con, where we're out in the hallway. And in the past, we've kind of tucked our things away. But the last one we did was in Orlando, Florida. And we just went, yeah, whatever. And we left all of our stuff there and nobody took anything. Now, again, not legal advice, I think. If you
Or
if
just
you get
safety
stolen from-
advice,
Safety
yeah.
advice, yeah.
yeah.
You can always cover it up with a cloth. You can keep your stuff locked behind your booth. Most of the time, thieves are opportunistic, I would say. They're not really trying to like scrounge behind your stuff, so if you keep it out of sight, it's probably okay. Our very first convention, we packed up all of our stuff from underneath our table and took it up to our hotel room at night, but we gave up on that very quickly. It was not worth it.
It was so much effort.
We just keep all our stuff underneath our booth all the time. Don't steal our stuff, please.
Yeah,
I know we're giving you some very insider information about how we do it.
I
but-
know. It's just like,
Yeah.
it's just right there. It's reached.
Yeah.
No, it's fine.
But it saves on some trouble if you don't have to do that.
Yes.
Yes.
Are you selling here right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can find us in our salon.
Yeah, we're in the back corner. If you walk in and go directly to the right, we're in the back corner over there. You can come say hi to us. You can ask us more questions.
Yeah, please
back
feel
there.
free to ask us questions. Even if we're busy, if it's a quick one, we can do that, or you can wait till it's a lull. We're always,
Yeah.
okay, this is the other thing. Going back to the products thing, if you ask artists, where do you get this made, they might be kind of cagey about it. There's a lot of people who I feel are gatekeepy in this community, don't want people to know where they get their stuff made. They're worried that's going to slow down their production times, or it's just going to make more competition for them, and I think that's stupid. So if you ever have any questions where we get things made, feel free to ask us. Happy to tell you. But also don't feel like don't expect every artist to be the same. They might be cagey with their answers if you ask them.
It might be worth asking, but if they don't answer, don't worry about it. It's very common for people to not want to share their secrets.
Yeah.
But we're happy to.
We're happy to.
We love especially our printer in Lafayette, Rails Printing. We love them. We've used them since 2015. They're
Yeah,
amazing.
we bullied them into getting a foil printing.
We did. We bullied them into getting a folio printer, and now we do all of our foils through them.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yes.
When you do make an application, do you, obviously they'll know if you're a beginner, but do you think it's better to mention that you've never sold anywhere, or do you think it's better to just leave it as, oh, well, they can see I don't have any experience, or do you think it's better to be upfront with that information?
In all honesty, in applications, there's not really a place to add like comments or anything.
Sometimes.
They sometimes do, but usually if they care about that, they ask. They'll say like, hey, have you been to any other cons before? Or they'll ask like, how many times you've been to this specific con? And obviously in that case, I think it's fair to be honest. I don't really think cons actually care very much how much experience you have, since they're just kind of looking for the best experience to give to their attendees, which is just going to be like, you have cool things they want you to have.
Yep.
So I wouldn't worry about being a newbie. Honestly, it helps you out in some cases. Doesn't NDK have like 10%
I think they have
tables or?
a quota for people who have never done NDK before
Yeah.
or have never done a convention before, but they'll ask you if it's relevant, and if not, I don't think it's relevant. I don't think you need to mention that, because I don't think it'll help or hinder you in either way. Hopefully your art's gonna be speaking for itself in a jury con, and at a not jury con or like a lottery con or a first come first serve con, then it shouldn't really matter either way. I think the important thing is that you have a product to show. They say like, oh yes, you are going to come with at least stickers or at least a couple of prints, I think is the important thing that they want to see in an application like that.
Yep. Alright, I think we have time for one more question. If anyone else has anything they'd like to ask. Yes.
So, I wonder if you have a feeling for like going to big cons versus smaller
Ooh,
cons.
That is a good question.
Good question.
You know, you kind of assume that, you know, the big cons you could maybe make more money, but
Yes.
is that always?
No, that is.
It depends.
It does.
It's a huge range of what you can make where. A lot of it has to do with convention like attendee size versus the artist alley size. We go to cons, like our threshold for conventions flying out to cons is like at least 4,000 people or something
Yeah.
like that. So we know that at least there's gonna be a certain number of people there. You can look it up most of the time and see what number of people are gonna be there. But you talk about like Anime New York City has like 75,000 or 100,000 people out there attending.
50,000.
50,000,
Yeah.
yes. 50,000 people, that's a lot of people, but their artist alley is huge. It's got like 400 people. So you're competing with every other person in artist alley. And then it goes back to, do I want to try to draw the popular things and compete with the popular people and the best artists in the country, or do I want to try to do something niche and hope that the people there see my niche stuff and like my niche stuff? It's, for me personally, I tend to find those really big ones sort of middle of the road. My Anime New York City numbers are kind of maybe a little bit better, but they tend to be, I mean, I'm probably gonna make about this weekend what I made at Anime New York City last time, which is wild. But this is a very small artist alley. We don't have very much competition, and it's our home state. We know what people like here.
Oh yeah, we got Midwest
Yes,
taste.
yeah. Any extra thoughts about that?
Oh yeah, it's basically the same. It's just the ratio is really more important than the actual number of attendees in terms of how much you can expect to make. There are some cons that are standouts regardless. Like honestly, AX obviously is the biggest one in the country, so it's fine.
Anime Expo was pretty good. That was my third best con.
Yeah.
So, and there were 100,000 people there.
Yeah.
But
I would also say that location matters a little bit. Some areas are just full of rich people. Like going to Katsucon, Maryland, the DC area is full of rich people.
yes, yeah.
Fanbase Silicon Valley full of rich people.
Yep.
So that can also affect how much profit you make, just how much people are affected by the economy. But that's our 5 minutes, right? And I think
5 minutes. Yes, 5 more minutes.
yes,
I guess we could probably do one more in 5 minutes.
it's really quick. Yes.
This is a really quick
Yes,
question.
awesome.
Just to follow up on that, do you change your prices depending on
No.
what market? Okay.
No.
We'll just bring more of the prints if we think we're gonna sell more.
We never really changed our prices from basically probably 2018 when we really started to do this till 2023. We did not change our prices at all. Recently, this last year, we upped our pin prices a little bit because they were the ones that was giving us the lowest margin of sale, but we never mess with our prices, so it's always the same. It's easier to remember too. If you're doing 20 cons a year, if your prices are 20 for 1, 30 for 2, you can remember that the whole time.
Yeah. But yeah, once inflation really gets us, I'll think
Yeah.
about it. It's
Yeah.
really mostly looking at how much it costs.
But if we did, we would raise them all for all.
Oh
of
yeah,
them.
for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just not. But yeah,
Cool.
thank you all so much. I was so thrilled at this turnout. Really
Yeah.
fast. Like maybe I'll see 3 people. So
Yeah, and if you think of any other questions or have any other things, we'll be at our booth all afternoon, and tomorrow we'll
Yep.
be there too. So you can come say hi to us.
yeah,
there.
please do. I look forward to
Yeah.
seeing your spaces. Or
Yeah, I hope you guys,
I hope you guys do good with your endeavors.
Start off good on your journey.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Really quick, excuse me, I love your head. It is gorgeous.
His name is Pitt.
Figure out the microphones for next time.
It's not our fault anymore.
Very big mohawk. He's just little. Razzie from sipping on it.
Thank you.
He's actually a full plush suit. I'm just not dying.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Like,
And I feel like an anime con is not wearing plush suit will.
I saw someone in full suit yesterday, and I was like, "You are a trooper." I could not.
As I think, unless there is an area where a humongous fan is existing, I'm not.
I wore a partial to the Renaissance Festival last year, and I was dying.
Yeah, there's no such thing as
I got heat stroke. I did. I got heat stroke.
Yeah, there's no such thing as fan. Do you have an Instagram maybe?
Oh, dude, that was